Hi and Assalamualaikum, I'm Muhammad Zarif and we are going to explain about Chapter 5, which is the principles of verbal messages, and Chapter 6, non-verbal communication. Without further ado, allow me to pass it to Amir Amshah.
Hi and Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad Amir Amshah. Today I'm going to talk about disconfirmation, confirmation and rejection. Disconfirmation and confirmation and rejection are three key concepts in communication and interpersonal relationships. Disconfirmation occurs when someone presents communication or self-definition are ignored or invalidated. This can be done explicitly or implicitly. For example, if someone tells you about their day and you respond by talking about something else, you are disconfirming their experience. Disconfirmation can be damaging to relationships as it can make people feel invisible, unheard and unimportant. Next is confirmation. Confirmation, on the other hand, occurs when someone presents communication and self-definition are acknowledged and accepted. This can be done verbally, non-verbally or both. For example, if someone tells you about their day and you respond by asking questions and expressing interest, you are confirming their experience. Confirmation is essential for building strong and healthy relationships. And lastly, rejection. Rejection occurs when someone openly disagrees with or disputes another person's presence, communication or self-definition. This can be done politely or rudely, and it can range from minor disagreements to outright hostility. For example, if someone tells you about their day and you respond by saying that their experience is wrong or invalid, you are rejecting them. Rejection can be hurtful and can damage relationship. So, the last slide for Chapter 5 is about cultural identifier. Cultural identifiers are the characteristics that distinguish one culture from another. They can include things like language, religion, food, clothing, music and art. Cultural identifier can be a source of pride and identity for people, and they can also help to build a sense of community. Next is non-sexism. Non-sexism is the belief that all people should be treated equally, regardless of their gender. This means that people should not be discriminated against or treated differently because of their gender. Non-sexism is important because it ensures that everyone has equal opportunities and is treated with respect.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Darwish, and today I'm going to talk about 4 common practices of offensive language. First is sexism, second heterosexism, third racism, and lastly ageism. So what is sexism? Sexism is a language that puts down people because of their gender. Usually the sexism language happens to women, but it could also happen to men, but it always happens to women. Okay, and for example, when a certain jobs or responsibility are automatically selected for specific gender. Okay, for example, women should be given a lower position role in job, and men should be given to a higher position or leadership position only, and which is wrong. We need to treat every gender equally, whether you are a man or a woman. For the second part is heterosexism. So heterosexism is a language that used to disparage gays and lesbians. So derogatory terms used for lesbian and gay men, as well as in more subtle forms of language usage. For example, if an employer favors heterosexual individual over LGBTQ individuals during hiring, promotion or jobs assignment, it reflects heterosexism. This bias can limit career opportunities for non-heterosexual employees. For the third part is racism. Racism is a language that denigrates toward member of a particular race or customs, and to establish and maintain power over other groups. Racist language also contributes to the development racist attitude in those who use or used to hear the language. And racist language emphasizes differences rather than similarities, and separates rather than unites members of different cultures. For example, social consequences of racist language can affect employment, education, and etc. And lastly is for ageism. Ageism is any attitude, action or institutional structure which subordinates as a person or group because of age or any assignment roles in society purely on the basis of age. Language discrimination based on age, usually against the elderly. For example, let's say in a situation, a teenagers call that old lady is old hag or old timer, and that can affect the elderly, okay, because they saying that that lady is too old, even though that the lady know that she's too old, but we should call them more appropriately. For example, we can call them a senior or miss or anything that appropriate rather than little old lady or old hag, something like that. Next, I'm going to talk about cultural identifiers about non-heterosexist. So non-heterosexist refers to attitudes, belief that do not discriminate against individuals based on their sexual orientation. It implies a commitment to inclusivity and respect for people regardless of their sexual orientation and acknowledging about their sexual identifiers. For example, non-heterosexism will see lesbian, gay or even transgender people as a normal people and acknowledge and respect their sexual orientation. Next, I'm going to talk about cultural identifiers about non-racist. Non-racist refers to attitudes, belief, and do not support any racism activities. Being non-racist involves actively opposing discrimination and prejudice based on race. It means recognizing the equality and dignity of all individuals, even though their racial background is different, and working towards creating a fair and just society that values diversity.
Hi, and now I will talk about non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is a communication without words. Anything beside words that can communicate a message is called non-verbal communication. It can identify through body action, gesture, facial expression, eye movement, spatial relationship, clothing and color, vocal rate, touch, volume, and even any way you treat time and etc. The first on the list is body communication. There are two areas of the body are especially important in communicating messages. The first one is body movement or body gesture, and the second one is body appearances. For body communication, there are 5 major types of it, and the first one is emblems, body gestures that directly translate word or phrase. Emblems used purposely to communicate the same meanings as the words. And the second one is illustrator, non-verbal behaviors that accompany the enhance or literally translate verbal messages. Research indicate people who illustrated their verbal message with gestures remembered 20% more than those who didn't gesture. For the third one is affect displays. It is a non-verbal movement of the face, hands, and body that communicate emotional feeling. Affect display used to accompany and reinforce your verbal messages, but also substitutes for words. For example, you might smile while saying how happy you are to see your friend, or might simply smile. And the fourth is regulators, behaviors that monitor, control, coordinate, or maintain the speaking of another individuals. For the fifth one is adapters, gestures that satisfy some personal need, such as scratching to relieve an itch, or moving your hair out of your eyes so that you can see clearly. There are 3 types of adapters. The first one is self-adapters, alter adapters, and object adapters. For the second channel, it would be body appearance. General body appearance and attractiveness also communicates. For example, height and weight, hair length, color and style, skin color, attractiveness that includes both visual appearance and pleasantness, of personality. For the next one, it would be facial communication. Facial communication communicates the degree of pleasantness, agreement, sympathy, or felt. Facial movement communicates at least 8 emotions: happiness, surprise, fear, anger, sadness, disgust, contempt, and interest. Next on the list is eye communication. The eyes are regarded as the most important nonverbal message system. The messages communicate by the eyes, vary depending on duration, direction, and the quality of the eye behavior. For the duration, every culture has rather strict, though unstated rules for the proper duration of eye contact. For the direction of the gaze also communicates. For an example, the rule of public speakers is to scan the entire audience, not focusing too long or ignoring any one area of the audience. For the quality, how wide or narrow your eyes get during an interaction also communicates meanings, especially interest level. There are several functions of eye movements. The first one is to seek feedback. For example, in talking with someone, you might look at her or him intently as to say, "Well, what do you think?" Next is to signal openness in the communication channel so that he or she should now speak. And another one, to signal the nature of relationship, whether positive, to attract glance, or negative, eyes avoidance. Now we're going through spatial communication. Edward T. Hall, pioneer of study of spatial communication, and called this research area proxemics, the way you treat communication through space. For space communication, they are divided by two. The first one is proxemic distance or spatial distance, and the second one, territoriality. For spatial distance, the distance that define types of relationship between people, such as intimate, that means actual touching, to 18 inches. The second one, personal, 18 inches to 4 feet. The third one would be social, 4 feet to 12 feet. And the last one is public, 12 feet to 25 feet. Territoriality is a possessive reaction to an area or a particular object. Humans basically interact with 3 types of territories. The first one is primary territories, your own area, your exclusive preserved areas. The second one is secondary territories, which means areas that don't belong to you but which you have occupied and with which you're associated. And the third one would be public territories, areas that open to all people and may be owned by some person or organization. Human uses 3 types of markers to signal ownership. The first one would be central markers, that means markers used to reserve territory. For the next one is boundary markers. It is a boundary set between your territory and the others. And for the last one is ear markers, which means marker used to identify one's possessions.
For the next one is artifactual communication. Artifactual communication is when you make an assumption just by looking at someone based on their space decoration, clothing, on how they act like or how they smell before actually verbally speaking to them. First is space decoration. How you decorate your life shows your personality. Second is clothing. People can assume on how your character is, how you dress. Color also counted as artifactual communication. I feel like this can also relate to clothes. For example, I'm wearing all black. Yeah, obviously not right now. I'm wearing all black clothing shows that I love darkness, or people can assume I'm mystery or even depressing, even though it has nothing to do with me. Then lastly, smell. For example, you wear a perfume that is made for romantic kind of smell. You can attract people by wearing it. And then touch communication, which is a communication of touching behavior. For the first meaning of touch communication, which is emotional communication. The positive side of this communication is touch may communicate positive emotions such as showing support, appreciation, involvement. For example, hugging someone shows that you appreciate them, or you can say you give them support by hugging them. For the negative emotion side is angry, fear, or sadness. For example, you hit someone or you slap someone just because you can't control your anger. Paralanguage, the vocal, but non-verbal dimension of speech. So what does he mean by this? What does he mean by this is not about what you say, but how you say it. It includes vocal characteristic to communicate your meanings and to add interest and color for your messages. For example, I ask my girlfriend, "What's up, Riri? How you doing?" And then she says, "Okay." You see? From there, how the way she said it, the tone, the expression, I'm gonna know there is something wrong. And then silence, the absence of sound, but not of communication. Silence can show someone that you are thinking about something or can use to hurt someone. For example, you ignore someone and go silent. The act is for sure gonna hurt someone. Lastly, maybe it shows that you have a personal anxiety, shyness, or threats. Finally, time communication, chronemics, the use of time, how you treat, organize it, react to it through time. There are two types of time communication. First is cultural time, which is a culture influences time communication in variety of ways. And then informal time, general time terms. Example, forever, immediately, soon. Next is the social clock, the right time according to your culture to do various of important things such as dating, graduating, or having children. The second type of time communication is psychological time, which means the relative importance we place on the past, present, or future. Past orientation is for people who have a history that is admired, respected, for example, being involved in an army. For present, people who live in the present for now and without planning for tomorrow. And then lastly, future orientation, people who look forward and live for the future. And then I guess that is all from us. Thank you.